Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming by and visiting with me. If it's the first time you've come by, how you doing? Thank you for messaging me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. So season 3, however, I'm happy to be here today. It's been that kind of week. Right off the gate, I was thinking about this right now. I don't know why it popped in my head, but you ever buy, like, I bought these, I had said that on my birthday that we went to Goodwill, right? We were shopping, right? And, but anyway, I bought these shorts, these, and it's notorious. Like, I wear shorts. My wife was making fun of me the other day because I had told her that I have these jeans are hard to come by, you know what I mean? Like when you like them or they fit you well. And I have several pair of jeans that are kind of worn or like getting naturally worn. I usually just switch them up to being like what I wear to do like yard work and stuff. And anyway, she was saying, man, those jeans are getting ripped, man. Like you just need to. And I said, I'll just cut them and make it into shorts. And she sent me this video of Will Ferrell and a Jonas brother and like a late night talk show. God, Jimmy Fallon, and they were making fun of guys that wear jorts. They call them jorts, jean shorts. And so, because anyway, I bought these one shorts, and they're not jeans. They're just like regular shorts. But I feel like if you buy them too small, then you look like Post Malone, kind of like, you know, he wears real tight jean shorts or like shorts, you know what I mean? And I guess maybe that's my age, but I like shorts that are just kind of like baggy or like looser, you know what I mean? So stupid. Anyway, so I buy them. It's hard to buy shorts, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I don't want to buy them real like tight shorts or whatever. Anyway, so when you wash shorts and you get them right out of the dryer, right, they feel tighter. And I said to myself, I was gonna go to the store to go buy stuff for my wife's birthday, which was this past weekend. And she said she was in bed already because I do this thing, and she she likes waking up to like a birthday something, right? Like you get flowers and her gift and her little card, right? And she wants to be a little surprised. But at the same time, she's the same person who like says, I already ordered my gift. It's coming on Amazon. It should be here during the week. If you could wrap it, you know what I mean? So I get the contradiction, believe me. Anyway, so I have to play it off and be like, yeah, go to bed. I'm just going to watch some TV or whatever. And like, it's not like super conspicuous that, you know, the middle of the night I'm leaving in a car, like, because you don't want to be like, where'd you go at like, you know, 10 o'clock at night or something, you know, kind of sentiment. And I get that too. It's funny to me though, because she knows damn well what I'm doing, right? If not, then I know that Ninja would wake up like and be like checking my GPS or whatever and being like, why are you at the grocery store or whatever it is, you know? So Anyway, I digress. Point being, I waited for her to go to bed, and I was going to go to the grocery store and buy her flowers and everything that, you know, she likes to get in the morning and wake up to. And so I said, well, I'm going to throw on these shorts. I just came out of the dryer, and I said to myself, you know, I should get a belt. Not, you know, I mean, I'm not that guy, you know what I mean? Where like, but anyway, I said, I had one of those, it would have looked fine. All right. I'm not doing like, you know, workout shorts with like a belt to hold them up. I mean, I'm not being, it's not unheard of. Anyway, I said, no, you know what? They're tight right now. They're not tight, but they feel like they just came out, you know, the dryer. They feel pretty great. I said, they look sharp. I'm going to wear them. Here we go. Let's go. And so there I am at the grocery store. And I'm telling you, not 5 minutes into looking around the flower section, they start sagging and falling off. And I'm telling you, by the time I finished, I had to cut it short. Because like I was having to hold my shorts up with my hand, you know what I mean? It was like the worst. I'm sure that there's some camera footage of me like, you know, holding my shorts up like I had shrunk in the store. Like I had hulked out and then went back to Bruce Banner and like was holding my clothes on me because I was too small. It was super, I say super embarrassing, but really, to be honest with you, it's more of just the inconvenience of it because I couldn't have cared less, you know, about the way I looked. It was more like, you know, I don't want my pants to fall off in the middle of looking for a birthday card, which is highly possible. Anyway, that's the conundrum. You know, went in to buy shorts that, and then so I got the next day. I was like, you know, check it out, and I pulled the shorts all the way up, and I was like, these things fall off, man. Yeah. She was like, all right, Post Malone. I was like, just whatever, dude. But anyway, I don't know. I wanted to share that with everybody. It was her birthday though, and my wife for a while she wanted to see this movie Twisters, right? It's a sequel to a movie with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt from, I guess that would have been like the 90s. But she loved this movie when she was a kid. She had this fascination with tornadoes. She would have these dreams where the tornado would knock on her door and let her know that they were there. Like, hey, we're about to pillage your village. We're about to ravage your home if you'd like to come out and play or whatever. Which I never understood the fear from her, you know. I mean, of like having that dream. Like all my monsters, they weren't as well mannered to knock on the door, you know what I mean, and say what's up. And I'm here to scare you if you're, in case you're wondering what I'm doing at your door. But yeah, and plus she's like this type that the things that she's afraid of, she like surrounds herself with. Like, so she's super. She's scared of, or not scared of, or like, but she's like, whoa, that's like serial killers. I remember the first we were dating, and I went over to her house, and she had these books on serial killers, and you know, pretty much how to get away with murder. And I'm like, yes, this is the one. You know what I mean? She's like, why don't you want to have a gun in the house? It's like, I mean, do you just need another reason to have the facilities to kill me? Like, I don't think so. But no, I mean, like she's like she wants to swim with sharks and like to have them everywhere, and I just don't get it, dude. I don't seek out things to freak me out. I don't like go out of my way to like surround myself with I don't know what scares me. Failure. uh, Being forgotten. I don't know how you do those things. I don't know. Maybe fading into obscurity. Is there a movie I could watch? So anyway, originally the plan was to go see it in IMAX, right? But I don't think it was. I think Deadpool kind of kicked it out of all of the IMAXs. Maybe the one downtown would have had a showing or two. I don't know, but it was right up to the wire. We were having a hard time finding a sitter, but we got to go, and we were dropping off the baby like at the sitter, or some friends of ours that were going to hang out with her, I should say, and it was raining, and I was like, dude, this is perfect. We're going to go into a theater with, dark rain clouds surrounding the theater and like rain and wind and watch a movie about tornadoes. I mean, I thought it'd be perfect to set our minds into that perspective, to sit down in our seats with an umbrella and like damp clothing, coming from out of a storm. But I opened the door to the theater, to the front door to the theater, to the lobby, and it hit me like a wave of nostalgia. It was like it had been so long since I'd been to a theater that I finally got to experience that again. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I worked at a movie theater for a very long time. And so I lost a lot of that, as you do with anything that you do every day, right? So say like if you worked at if I worked at a Papa John's pizza, and I loved the Papa John's pizza at the time, but you would get to make a free one every day before you left for the day. And you go through the phase of eating the pizza that you make every day and being like, man, I'm the luckiest guy. I get to sit here and have this kick-ass pizza, and I make it just how I like it. And after a month or however long, there comes a day when you're like, well, I'll try it like this, and maybe I'll put some of the weird powdered topping on Parmesan and mix it with the peppers and come up with this special blend. And then after a while, you're just like, you know what, screw it. I don't know what to do with this. I'm good on the pizza. I'll just get something on the way home. You know what I mean? But movies I've always had a special relationship with them. It was what my dad would do with us when we were kids. It was like the activity that my brothers would be willing to do with my dad. So we would go to them, and it was actually the same movie theater company that I worked for. But as a child, I would go, and he would give us a couple quarters each, and we'd go play arcade games. And it would be large and daunting, and it would seem like a spectacle, like the idea of going to this big building with all these lights and bells and whistles and things going on, and the smells and the things would hit you as you entered the door, and we'd go into this dark hallway into this auditorium, and I remember being terrified, but hearing the laughing and the cheering and the all this kind of stuff. And in the 80s there were so many movies that 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 were these big giant, it was the dawn of the blockbuster, and at the same time it was like these crowd cheering movies, you know what I mean? Like you're the Rockies and the Indiana Jones and the Back to the Futures and the Star Wars, and these different movies were all very, I remember hearing people cheering and clapping at the end of movies, and it was just a wild experience. It was something that, but I remember holding my dad's hand and going into the theater, and it was a very special thing, you know what I mean, to hold my dad's hand. And I need to go to a therapist to figure it out, but I remember I maybe even mentioned it on the podcast at one point that I wanted to. There's a short story or something in that where I vividly remember holding my dad's hand on several occasions. One of which was going to the movies and him giving me assurances about it just being a movie and to not being afraid and to be okay with everything. I think I always see that, and I always see an image of Darth Vader in my mind. I don't know what the association with. Maybe it was Empire Strikes Back was just too much for a kid. I don't know what, but I see very clearly this. I see the image of Darth Vader in my mind very clearly when I hold this memory. I don't know why, but I see, and then I see this image of holding my dad's hand when he was sick. And then I remember holding his hand right after he passed away, and it was still warm, and the roughness of his hands, and like they were workers' hands, you know what I mean, like that he did. They were rough with having lived, I don't know. I just need somebody, some therapist or somebody to help unpack that. I don't know what it is. But there's also layers to it. There's also like holding my son's hand, my daughter's hand, and how they've grown, you know what I mean? Where you could fit their whole hand around your finger, you know what I mean? And it just changes and as my hands get rough and tattered and wrinkly and calloused, I think about what things he went through and what sacrifices he made. Anyway, I don't want to jump too far off. This always happens. I never end up talking about what I was going to talk about. But movies were a big deal. And going to see movies with my son, we would go, and when my visitation kept getting smaller and smaller, it would end up being just the weekends and then just one day. And so we would go do things, go-kart riding, or like these giant jungle gym in places, and just crazy things. But on the regular, since I worked at a movie theater, that would seem to be the thing that we did most often, consistently. And I remember he would hold my hand crossing the parking lot to get to the theater. And to the point where I remember he was just too big to hold my hand when we crossed the street. And we watched just every damn movie that came out. Kid movie, you know what I mean? So many animated movies and things, and significant memories would happen. So movies became our thing for a long time. And I remember I wanted to do, I remember seeing this when I worked at the theater. There was this old man and his son, and they would come once a week to watch movies. And I always said, oh, that's what I want. I want to maintain that relationship with him and do this, like, you know what I mean? Anyway, but he doesn't really watch movies anymore. And but I digress from that as well. I don't. That's not really the point of it. You know, before I worked at a movie theater, though, and this is kind of like the crux of what I'm trying to get at. I used to work at this hotel, and across the highway from this hotel I used to work at, there was this what we called a dollar theater. It's like where they showed older movies, and it used to be like $1.50 for the movie, and then on weekdays they would have a matinee, 50 cents. No joke. I mean, just this place still exists. I don't know what they charge now or what they got going on, but it was one of those. We call it the dollar movie. We'd go on a Friday night and just hang out and talk about girls and look at girls and whatever, and go pick a movie to watch. And it was a cheap night to be able to play a couple games or have a drink, like a soda, and just go whatever. But that was my introduction to the dollar theater. But I remember the first time I went on a date with a girl was at a movie theater. It was embarrassing, but it was funny. But I remember sitting next to this girl, and my legs started going up and down, because I was nervous or whatever. And I gave her a kiss, and they said, "Oh, look how cute, it's Thumper." Like, the people behind us were talking about us. Yeah, this is my first memory with on a date. And that same, anyway, look, it's Thumper. But anyway, it's funny. But when I worked at the hotel, I used to go once a week. And I would just go before my shift. And I wouldn't even know what was playing. I would just go and purchase, like, I would say, I would make a decision right then, whichever movie fit the time frame. And I'd buy a ticket to watch whatever was playing. And I'd go get a little drink, and sometimes if I was feeling it, like a popcorn or like whatever. But I loved it, and it meant the world to me. It was my time, and I'd go sit in the center, towards the bottom, but in the center of the bottom row, because more often than not, people wouldn't come sit behind you or next to you if you were in the lower section. But and I would just, I'd get excited about watching the movie trailers, and when the lights would come all the way down at the end of the trailers, I'd get that little butterfly, like, here we go, like, here's the movie. And then I got a job at a theater, and I got to watch movies for free, and get discounts on the popcorn or the drinks or whatever. at certain points it was even free to have a drink, with the, but anyway, and then life happens, and then whatever. But by the end of it, I wouldn't go see movies anymore. And so, and then it was shortly after I had stopped working for the movie theater that she wanted to go see a movie. And I went, but it was just out of obligation for her, and it didn't feel right, and I was sort of out of sorts, and I didn't like the feeling. So, but, and even going to the theater this time, I felt, before we got there, I had this sort of, like, I wasn't sure what it would be like for me to go. But I opened the door, and this wave of, like, the smell was the first thing that hit me. And it's hard to describe. It's popcorn, but it's not. It's like the smell of popcorn salt almost, and popcorn mixed, and butter maybe. I don't know if that plays into the mix, but it just is like this certain smell that you get desensitized to working at a theater, because you're overwhelmed with it every day. You're inundated with the smell of popcorn because you're making it and selling it all day, sweeping it up, and so you get more associated with the smell of popcorn mixed with soda that you're cleaning off the floors, or whatever, than you are just this wonderful smell of popcorn, fresh popcorn, and going to see an early showing. So you're hearing, like, in this particular instance, you're going to the concession stand, and you're hearing the popper in the back, going off, and having teenagers that, they're just doing the bare minimum, but you don't care. Like, you're not. I used to go to the theater and judge them, you know what I mean? As a manager, as somebody, and you're like, man, you're not even trying to upsell me. You didn't even tell me about your combos. Or whatever, Like, you're just gonna sit there and with this display looking all trashy, you know what I mean? I remember going back because there was an older movie that was playing at the Dollar Movie after I'd been working at the theater for a long time, and my son wanted to see it again because he loved this movie. It was the movie I think it's called Real Steel, Hugh Jackman, where they have these fighting robots and such, and they were showing it at this Dollar Theater long after it had been gone from the majors. And we walk in, and the first thing that hit me was the everything looked a little bit dingier than it used to look in my mind. And the games were a little older, and the video games were older, and a lot of them weren't working properly, you know what I mean? Just dilapidated. And I go over to the concession stand, and I'm like, okay, well, I'd like a drink. And the lady gets the cup and just drags it into a bucket of ice. And all these safe serve violations are going off in my head about, this dirty cup, and her dirty hands certainly been messing with money, being dragged into this trough of ice, you know what I mean? I was like, I just can't even with this. And no scoop, no nothing, just, anyway. And then we go into the auditorium and we're walking on sticky floors with soda and everything all over the ground. And I just couldn't enjoy it. I wasn't the spectator movie lover that I was before. I'd become like an inspector or just a worker bee, having like a theater worker bee. Anyway, I really got to sit there, and then the previews, like they have this pre-show. I used to love the pre-show. They used to have like trivia questions, and like, you know, I used to love all that. But I mean, and I'm sitting there in the auditorium, and then the trailers start, and there was a brief moment where there was an advertisement for the movie theater, and I get a little sad. But then they say something to the effect of, so enjoy these previews or enjoy the show or whatever. And I just let it go, and I'm watching these previews to movies that, and when you work at a movie theater, especially for a long period of time, I knew movies that were coming out long in advance. You know, we'll say like some over a year in advance. You get these magazines and it would show you a list of all these movies that were upcoming and they were forecasted. Even movies that never even made it. Like such and such movie planning on coming out in 2 years, and then you read about it later on, just kidding, never came out, decided against it, whatever. But there's nothing like sitting in an auditorium and then a trailer starts to a movie you had no idea was coming out, and being like, tapping the guy next to you and being like, dude, I can't wait for that one. That looks good, dude. Right? I mean, there's nothing like it. I remember as a kid, you know, when you see trailers coming out, it would be like giddy, like it was going to be a hell of a summer. Like I can't even wait for this summer, these movies to come out. Like nowhere in you, unless you were there, nowhere in your life will you have that moment, like being a teenager, sitting in a darkened auditorium and hearing the Transformer movie theme song start. Because it wasn't what you saw in the cartoon. It starts off with like this drum beat. And it's like, right? It's like kicking, and then it's loud. It's in a theater, and then it zooms. It's coming, and like Transformers, and it's all across the screen, and you're like, you're like this, like a teenager, and you're freaking balls because you're supposed to be cool and like whatever, and not affected, but you know, they got you. You know, that's the power of the movies. Because you're also not going to be like a teenage young man in a crowded theater full of teenage young men. Because at the time that it was very much a bunch of guys watching the Transformer movie and hearing sniffles in the audience when Optimus Prime dies. You know what I mean? You'll never have that. You'll never have that. I mean, maybe you did when the Avengers movie came out. Maybe that was what that was for you. When Tony Stark dies. But this was my Saturday. This was my, like, every day after school you'd watch the cartoon. You know what I mean? For like ever. And it was the toys that you played with, and it was your childhood. You know? Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. But that happened when the trailers were playing, and I was like, I had no idea this movie was coming out. I was like, what's that? And I avoid trailers now. I try to, because I have a lot of friends that are still in the movie theater business. And and I don't like social media for this reason. I don't like, because everybody's all about spoilers, and they can't just wait for the damn movie to come out. They want to be the first one on the block to give out some bullshit about what was going on in the movie. And they'll sneak it up on you too. Like it'll be saying, why is this person sad? Because this happens in the movie. Oh, gee. It's like, I don't want to hear none of it. So I don't even watch trailers anymore. Like, unless you know what I mean? I really avoid them. So it really felt good to sit there in the auditorium and be all, surprised. It was nice to watch in the movie. Look, tornadoes aren't my thing, man. But I thought that the casting was good. I thought that it was nicely done. I thought I liked it. I liked the movie. It was entertaining. And I enjoyed eating the popcorn. I can't even tell you the last time I did do that. Eat popcorn and drink a soda and watch a movie. It was crazy. But I'm not saying I'm going to start going to movies again. But it's nice to know that, I never thought I would again, right? My daughter loves movies now. So it's kind of nice that I'm thinking about taking her to see one and showing her how I do it, But anyway. I was planning on, I had to find a way to talk about my time at the theater and other jobs without giving details about where I worked, or what job I'm talking about. I won't do it today, but I do plan on, I'm going to start telling stories about where I've worked and what I've been through, and the good and the bad, and change it to protect the names of the innocent and the guilty. Because I think that's too much of my life to not talk about. And I've worked at so many places, dude. I've put in so much time at so many different jobs. I've done everything from warehouse work to, I think I've told the story about lying my way in through a temp agency and working with the accounting department at a company. I had no business. I was young and but I've been working in warehouses and tearing down things and building things. And I just wanted to sit in a damn desk and, do nothing. And the temp agency was like, well, have you ever done any accounting work? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I helped my mom balance her checkbook. Yes, I've done accounting. Yes. All right. Well, they're looking for somebody in accounts receivable. And so point me in the right direction. But I've done all kind of jobs: hotels, movie theaters, restaurants. I used to have a job that I was a temp job, and you'd have to take everything off of a pallet and then put it right back on the pallet. But they had hired too many, so they were like, well, we just can't pay you to stand there. So I would take all these small boxes off of a pallet and then put them back on. And you have to rip off all this packaging tape and stuff, and then you'd take them off of the pallet and then you'd put them back on, stack them the same way. Make sure they're exactly the same. It's like, okay. I had a job once where I had to take a heat gun and put it onto a sticker and take the sticker off and then put another sticker. That was the whole job. Don't burn the wrapping, you know. All kind of jobs. But I do want to share those things. Not, that specific story, but I don't think that it's necessary to give too much of the context. I mean, the specifics to get the stories out. So anyway, I don't think I'll violate any sort of NDAs for any of the companies I've worked for by doing that, or offend anybody at my current job if I just say these are some general stories about work. Places I've worked before, places I've worked now. Yes. Oh, stupid. I was like, you trying to get me to say something? That's my cue. All right, y'all. Well, I will talk to y'all next week. And I saw a picture of Siskel and Ebert. I miss those dudes. They really, they would break down movies and talk about them. And anyway, I digress. I'm getting off the subject. All right, take care of yourselves.